in a rock band is fun and all, but there's a reason that a symphony orchestra needs a conductor. If you're planning on scaling up to the next level, you're gonna need a COO. Welcome to Scaling for Success. We're all about helping businesses grow profitably, scale and move to the next level. And if you're looking for consultancy and mentorship that really makes a difference, subscribe to our channel or visit the Scaling Management Consulting Group website. The links are in the description below. In today's video, we're discussing why you need a COO to scale to $1 million and more. So let's just take another look at that analogy for just a minute. It's an interesting one. Rock bands have, say, between 3 and 6 members. It's a small group of people. Members can bounce ideas off one another in a jam session, in a think tank type of environment. The lead singer can play around with vocals and see what works. The drummer is trying out different tempos and percussive components, and the bassist is sitting in the corner working on a funky bass line, and the lead guitarist is letting their fingers sing along the accent as they hit that nail to the riff, and it's a huge mind track solo. When you think about it, it's not really too dissimilar to the startup company, where the executives and the team members are in this really tight-knit group of people. Everyone has channels for input and feedback, and there's a lot of trial and error going on to see which ideas work, which ideas are sent straight to the trash heap. But what happens when you have eyes towards the horizon and big dreams to scale up past that magic 1 million revenue mark? Needless to say, the band is going to grow some. There's going to be more team members, more moving parts, and you're probably looking more like an orchestra. There's woodwinds and the brass section. There's chairs of strings, and think of those as added departments for your business. And as the business grows, so does the need for specialized teams. Now, the time for a close-knit type environment is well and truly come and gone. And for all those elements of the symphony, or in this case business, to work, there needs to be a conductor bringing everyone together to knock out that performance. Enter the COO. Some elements of the business are going to need more help and guidance than others, and the management and timing of all elements has to be on spot in order to sustain this planned period of intense growth and scaling up. There comes a time in every greenhorn CEO's life where being a critical part of every moving part of the company becomes too much. And there's a good argument to say that it's in fact the CEO who often becomes the bottleneck or the limiting factor during a heavy growth period because, hey, there are only so many hours in a day, right? Being great at having a clear vision, at fostering relationships with investors and shareholders, drumming up more business, none of these skill sets are actually execution based. Sure, the CEO can initially handle things like hiring and firing, coordinating sales and other departments, and implementing systems and processes. But once the company is starting to scale up, then they often find the whole ideal is so far out of their wheelhouse, it's not funny. So what's the answer? As we've touched on in previous videos, this specialist task requires exactly that, a specialist. A COO. More specifically, a COO who is well equipped to handle the significant jump from small business to $1 million plus business. Now, it bears mentioning that the relationship between the CEO and the COO is what will be the make it or break it of the initial period of scaling up. The type of COO that your business will require is entirely situational, and they need to be someone tailored to the way your company does business and the clientele that you serve. But the number one has always got to be the big fat yes to the question: do the CEO and COO get along? Do they see eye to eye? This CEO-COO partnership resembles Siamese twins, where the two executives spend what seems like their whole day working so closely together that they may as well be joined at the hip. Trust and respect levels can't waver anything below 100%, and the strength of the united front will be one of the main reasons the business succeeds in taking it to the next level. Now, not all COOs are made equal. And similarly, the COO you need when scaling up is not necessarily the same COO you need when you're established. In business years, maybe in your early 40s, approaching middle age, we're going to run through a few must-haves on the startup COO shopping list so you can get an idea of what to look out for. A rapidly growing startup looking to shake off the training wheels can be an absolutely insane place at times. The whole process of bringing things out from the borders back into the center line is the exact reason you're bringing on a COO in the first place. But there will be issues and challenges popping out of left field so often that perhaps the number one trait of the scale-up COO must be flexibility. Now, what do we mean by that? The ability to readily adapt and change to conditions in both the micromanagement or day-to-day running side of the business, as well as on a macro or overview level regarding how the business is growing and which milestones to hit. Okay, this next one's going to seem like a no-brainer, but the scale-up COO has to be a tenacious, determined person. Now, do not confuse this with stubbornness or arrogance. Okay? They're the same side of the coin, but entirely different mindsets. We're talking about the conviction to the CEO's vision and having the intestinal fortitude to do whatever it takes to make it all happen. The scale-up COO has to be able to quickly discern which strategies are likely to work, which ones will actually be detrimental to the business as a whole, and not only that, they have to feel for whether or not the rate of growth can be managed and sustained, and not be afraid to hit the brakes or step on the gas, whichever one is required. Being a COO is a tough gig. They have to be this hard-nosed, brutally honest decision maker who lives or dies by the choices they make, whether they were the right ones or not. Needless to say, most with this kind of dogged attitude are not always what you would call a people person. This is fine for a mature business, but the ability to effectively communicate and manage is paramount during the scale-up period due to the stress that we placed on not just on the executive team, but the team members as a whole. Simply put, the COO has to believe in the company. Someone who comes to work, punches their card, does their job, then switches off from the workday as soon as they jump into their car and drive home is probably not the person you're going to want to drive growth in startup mode. This is a tough gig, but the scale-up COO has to have the company on their mind, if not all the time, probably most of it. The vision and values of the CEO have to be so adopted and ingrained into the COO's psyche that it's like they're realizing their own vision and staying true to their own values. Okay, what are some final pearls of wisdom and words of advice to those looking to scale up to that magic million mark? By now, we hope you've bitten the bullet and decided to bring a COO on board. But there's actually a bit more to it than that. So I do want to say beware, there's a trap here. You might find a COO with a proven track record who ticks all of the operational boxes and really knows their stuff. But for the love of all that's holy, make sure you get along with them. Conversely, the CEO-COO relationship chemistry can be great, but there may be some holes in the new COO's skill set that prevent them from being the driving force that's needed during these intense periods of growth. Unicorns don't really exist, and neither will the perfect COO for your scale up. The trick is to find the balance between the traits you need in a COO, the traits you want in a COO, and the chemistry needed between the CEO and COO in order to execute the game plan and realize the vision. All right, that's all we have time for in today's video. Why you need a COO to scale to $1 million and beyond.
Like this video if you found it helpful. And for more content just like this, subscribe to our channel or visit the Scaling Management Consultant Group website at scalinggrp.com or our new website at scalingresources.com.